Well, good afternoon from an incredibly wet, windy, stormy Great Britain. Nothing new really. Here is the YAK-38 Forger. This is an aircraft which is very interesting to me. This is the Revell boxing, which I think is an ace model kit underneath. There's some criticism of it being too thin. However, I think it looks great. I think it's a nice looking aircraft. The kit itself is very easy to build. The Revell reboxing has, no real issues with fit. A bit of fillers needed in the obvious places, but otherwise it's a very quick build. It's sat on my workbench for a while, and it's in the models of the What If fictional Marmatian Democratic People's Arab Democratic Republic. There's a clue there in the title. Normally, if you have to put democratic in a title, probably indicates that you're not a democracy. They are, of course, allied with the bad actors of Iran, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and with Russia, of course. And they are in What If Marmatia, which is basically where Tanzania actually is. So they are the main threat to the What If Malagasys. They went down the route of communism post World War II, whereas the Malagasys went down the route of Americanism and CETO, and that's really where the split is. Now, the aircraft itself is absolutely lovely, and the concept of having lift jets at the front and jets at the rear is not necessarily a bad concept, and I don't think it's necessarily why the aircraft didn't work. It did lack performance when it was taken to Afghanistan, but then a number of Western types lacked performance in Afghanistan and had to either be withdrawn or heavily upgraded. And for me, looking at it, I don't necessarily think that was the main problem with the concept. What If Marmatia has about 24 of these. They don't have a carrier, but they have one of those cruisers with a rear deck, which they can take off and land when the cruiser's not broken and in repair. The main issue, I think, regarding this aircraft is really, and one that a lot of people miss, is its role. It was designed to be a protection fighter for the Soviet cruisers, carriers, but it lacks radar. As you can see at the front, there's not really a aerial target radar. It does have infrared search and track, which of course is very good, and it did have the R60 missiles, which it still carries to this day. But if you compare that to the Sea Harrier FRS-1, which does have a radar, you've got an immediate difference between capability. And if you're operating an aircraft off ships to defend ships, you need a radar. It's not just good enough having a Kamov KA-31 radar platform. You actually need a radar on board the aircraft to do your searching and your air combat. And I think that is where this concept really fell down. Certainly for me, if it had a radar, it would have been a lot more deadly. Now, I like kind of taking old aircraft, what ifs, like the F3 Demon, which only required a bit more development, a bit more tweaking, better engines. And the obvious solution for the F3 Demon would be Rolls-Royce Avon engines, and it's very easy then to get a good performing fighter from that base. I don't find any redeeming things that I can do for this aircraft other than slice the nose off and put a radar on, and then you're kind of changing the whole thing. So for me, I've just kept this and built this as it is. It is a rival to the Malagasy armed forces. It is not as capable as their Sea Harriers, the Harrier AV8 B plus Harriers that they operate. And it will certainly not be as capable as the F-32Bs, the short takeoff and vertical takeoff landing ones when they get them into service. But it's a really nice counterpart. And for me, it's a really nice aircraft. The panelling and detail on the kit are absolutely lovely. I've not weathered it, that's just as it is. I've done it Vallejo intermediate blue on the top, and this green, which is a Vallejo 71329, which is a nice unusual scheme. It's got my Marmatian markings, custom markings on the tail. They're looking very Soviet. I need to do some smaller ones for the wings, but I've not yet had time to do them. But I really like it. I think it's a lovely little aircraft. It's a great what could have been had they put a radar in it. It's very limited in terms of payload. It doesn't carry a lot of payload. With the fuel tanks there, you've got room for 2 R60 missiles. Without the fuel tanks, you can carry 4 R60 missiles. So again, if you look at the basics of the Sea Harrier FRS-1 and the GR3, which would have been the comparable aircraft at the time, you can see immediately that this is a much more limited airframe. But I like it. It will join the shelf of Marmatia, which is taken over part of the kitchen, which is breaching sanctions, but there we go. I hope you like it. If you can get one of these kits, they're hard to find. I'd advise it. A lovely little build and a nice what-if enemy aircraft. Take care. Goodbye.